I love it. It lets me be who I am, like, you know, every day. I like to laugh and joke. If I can laugh and joke every day, that's what I'm gonna do.
People expect us to come in like a bull in a china closet and just kind of wreck everything. The plumbing image has changed quite a bit since I first started. We try our hardest to take care of people's houses. I really feel like if I had stayed in college and not joined the trade right away, I would have been struggling like a lot of people right now.
I just wanted to change my life. I was running from my past. I was running away from complacency, laziness. I was just running from a lot of things. So I just put all my energy and effort into school.
But I'm the first one in my family to ever do anything in this field, as far as any trade. So, you know, I feel like I'm making history of my own.
My family was very supportive. My peers definitely were not. They looked down on the trade. They felt like because I didn't go to college, I wasn't gonna amount to anything. People expect us to come in like a bull in a china closet and just kind of wreck everything. The plumbing image has changed quite a bit since I first started. We try our hardest to take care of people's houses. My name is Armendariz. I'm 30 years old. I'm a journeyman plumber. I live in San Antonio, Texas, and I expect to make $105,000 to $125,000 this year. I grew up in New Braunfels, Texas. It was me, my mom, my brother, and my sister. We're a pretty tight-knit family. We used to play board games all the time, and my grandparents are the ones who really kind of instilled the hard work into me. When I was in high school, this was at Churchill High School, it was very frowned on to do trades. So they were really downplaying the trades and pushing college on everybody. That was teachers, that was, you know, in our assemblies. Everything was geared towards going to school, and if you didn't, well, good luck. I was very disappointed because I really, really wanted to get my associate's degree, and I think I was maybe 3 credits away from it. The textbook that got in my way was a psychology book. It was about $500, and I couldn't muster up the money to get it, so that's the reason why I dropped out of college. I was making, I think it was $8.50 an hour. Then I got a raise to 10 after about a year. Second year was $17.50. And from there, after the pay cut went down, I think it dropped me to $12. The owner got in trouble for some tax evasion and had to cut our pay significantly, enough where I was at risk of losing my apartment. My girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, just found out she was pregnant, so I really needed to push to get something done. I didn't want to not have a stable future. I was 20 years old when I started plumbing. I reached out to my mom for some help, and she directed me towards my father, who I hadn't seen in a long time. He's the one who, I guess, ushered me through the door and got me started in an apprenticeship program. We get a raise depending on, you know, how much we're selling. So it's not necessarily commission-based, but it's more, I guess, performance-based. The pay rate, it's endless. So whatever you start at, you can end on an infinite number. There's no cap off. I can tell you the highest that I've ever been, I think is like $86 or $87. Sir, 1, 2, 3. We just loaded up the water heater. We gotta go install this bad boy today in somebody's garage. So for right now, we'll get our parts together so we can have what we need. Plumbing is fun because you know when you start, but you don't know when you get off. Our days a week standard is Monday through Friday. We do run on call. When we do on call, here we're doing 1 day a week. When you're on call, you can pretty much expect to not have any plans. Don't make any plans because they'll probably get wrecked. Don't expect to come home in time for dinner. Saturdays are always booked up. Sundays are a little bit slower. We're so booked right now with calls, we need plumbers. We need people to come in and help. My normal day, we dispatch from our house. They usually have the first customer ready for us by about 7:30. We'll leave our house about 7:30. We get to our first job between 8 and 9 in the morning. Old water heater had absolutely no code upgrades, just 2 stainless steel flex lines is all it had. Ball valve on there soldered in place, so I'll have to unsweat that. But the valve itself is very corroded and old. There's no normal, and we're always, going. You fit food in when you can. Some days we don't get lunch. Some days we eat on the drive from one job to the other. And I don't think customers really know that. I don't think that ever comes up. Sometimes if you get stuck on a job, or let's say you're on a job where a customer has no water, you can't really leave them without water. So we try our hardest to get them some kind of service before we can take a break. So we're going to turn the water onto the water heater now. You don't always get home, and have time to sit down with your family and have a sit-down dinner. That can be a little bit difficult. There's been several days where I'm not getting home till 9 or 10 at night, and I haven't eaten all day. When it started to freeze, everybody lost water. We were getting between 250 to 500 calls a day on people calling in saying, hey, my water lines are frozen, I have a broken pipe, my house is flooding. So we were trying to help people cut their water off. We were out of water for about 6 or 7 consecutive days. I was running service calls to help other people get water, and I had none. And I felt bad because I had no water, so I couldn't take a shower. Once we started working, we pretty much didn't stop for about 2 weeks. We worked that week. The weekend, we hit the following week, and I think we knocked out that second weekend as well. But a lot of our focus was just trying to get people water. A big part of our job is, just consoling the customer. I would say that's probably a good 60 to 70% of our work. It's very important that we have some kind of empathy for them, because for us, as plumbers, we see it every day. I leave one house and it's flooded, I go to another house that's flooded, so my work environment doesn't change, but for them, this is the end of their world as they know it. Just want to let you know we're all done. Everything's good to go. You should have about an hour, 45-minute wait before the water gets completely hot, and you're all set. Worst job I've ever worked on. This was a sewage backup for an apartment complex. They did not have a backwater valve. When I walked in, it was sewage everywhere. There was sewage, in the sinks, in the tubs. It was filled to about 6 inches of the property throughout everything. We didn't know we were walking into that much. We knew it was a sewer backup, but not to that caliber. The money's actually done a lot of good for me and my family. So my wife, actually she has to have a very, very expensive surgery coming up really soon, and I've been able to put away almost for the entire surgery without insurance helping anything. I'm more family oriented. I love spending time with my kids and my wife, because that time I'll never get back. So at least right now, I'm focusing more on my family. They absolutely love doing anything and everything outdoors. We're real big into like obstacle course races, the Spartan race, Savage race. We're real heavy into that kind of stuff. As long as they're happy, that's kind of the only thing I want for them, because money comes and goes, but a lifetime of happiness, you can't beat that. I'm very glad I stuck with this career, because it paid off. I feel like I've been very successful. I really feel like if I had stayed in college and not joined the trade right away, I would have been struggling like a lot of people right now. Plumbing, yes, there's money in it, but it feels good to help somebody, and it just happens to make money doing it. I would be proud of where I'm at.
There will be times where they just want something that costs $1, but $1 was like a stretch. Going from $15 an hour, 8 hours a week, to actually having some type of consistency definitely changed everything for me. My name is Memesha Davis. I'm a structural ironworker with Local 40, and I'm looking forward to making over $100K this year. I grew up in East New York and Brooklyn, was born and raised in the projects. My grandparents raised me. I was making absolutely nothing. No, I believe it was $15 an hour, but it wasn't a guaranteed 40 hours at the Barclays Center. So I know prior to starting ironwork, I made maybe $13,000 for the year. Raising kids on that budget was painful, because there will be times where they just want something that costs $1, but $1 was like a stretch. It was just like a look of just disappointment on their faces. And you know, being a single mom and trying to provide for your children as best as you can, it takes a toll on you daily. New was definitely a life changer. It definitely gave me back my confidence and sustain. Like, I went from I can't to I know I can. And I was just like, a free Metro card and a free training program? Count me in. Even a trade course is expensive. So to get this type of knowledge for free, I was just amazed. I remember coming to the school and taking a tour, and I was like, oh my goodness, is this for me? Because I'm an adrenaline junkie. And when you walk into the crane shed, you see this big column, you have these torch booths, you have the welding booths, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, okay. I went from running around making sure that everyone is working, and now there's an apprentice working for me. And I'm just like, wow. It feels great to not, Misha. Now I'm like, hey, can you grab that for me, please? So that was the turning point. I was just like, wow, I'm really not an apprentice anymore. To go from $13,000 a year to, $100K a year, it is a drastic change. Just the benefits that I received from Ironwork, the health benefits. When I first started Ironwork, I was probably maybe 2 months in, and I get a call during my lunch break, and my doctor told me that, I had stage 1 of cervical cancer. I remember just breaking down and crying at that moment, and my general foreman, my shop steward, my foreman, all of these guys were like, whatever you need, we're here for you. This is like a family that I never thought I would have. I finished my last treatment with chemo in February of 2018, and I've been cancer-free since. Now I have a pension to look forward to when I do retire. They have a scholarship fund for my kids. Being able, not to say yes to everything, because I don't want you to think I spoil my kids, but not saying no all the time definitely takes, so much pressure off of my shoulders. Even though my guys are really cool, you just want that, like, oh my gosh, yes, I have someone that I can relate to, for sure. But we don't get that all the time. I would like an all-woman crew. They're pretty cool. That's the fight that we're in right now. So people hear 100K and they think that, oh my gosh, you could really live off of that. We live in New York City. It's comfortable, but the demand that we do have on the job, no one will want to do that. I don't care how much money you put on that. If you're scared of heights, you won't do it. If you're afraid of missing limbs and fingers or falling, you won't do it. I'm not saying I'm not afraid of falling, I am, because that's definitely a precaution that you have to have on any job that you do. That is a hazardous condition. 100K sounds like a lot, like, oh wow, you really don't do anything. We do a lot for that money. This is the World Trade Center, and a lot of these guys I work with today, like he's a walking boss, they're connectors in this picture. Connectors, they put these pieces together, so they're the ones that put the Legos together. A normal day on the job is first me trying to convince myself to get out of bed, especially when it's cold outside. I get to work around like 6:30, so walking up the stairs, that's probably the most tiring part of my day. 7:30 we start work. Today, for instance, it was windy today, We have to bring a torch upstairs. We have to cut pieces out so that like the plumbers and the steam fitters, they can put their pipes through certain holes that still have our pieces of steel through it. There's me and another journeyman. So one of us is burning, one of us have to fire watch. As a fire watch, you're standing there making sure nothing catches fire around you. And fire watching in the cold is horrible. You try to find anything to keep warm. So I'm like jumping jacks, doing push-ups off of the wall. It's just everything to try to stay warm. The men definitely show respect. Even if they don't, you do have the other guys that put them in check real quick. We wrap up around 3 and we leave around 3:30, 3:40. There were times where I walk up, I'm like, I can't do that. And they're just like, you can do anything you put your mind to. I'm like, you know what, you're right. I remember working at one Vanderbilt and looking across the way and seeing the Chrysler building. And I'm like, wow. Look, I'm making history, but I'm also looking at history. And, you know, there's a lot of guys that I work with, their grandfathered and, like, you know, like their grandfather's been doing it. And I'm like, you're amazing. Like, you were just made for this. But I'm the first one in my family to ever do anything in this field as far as any trade. So, you know, I feel like I'm making history of my own, and my kids, I'm all supportive of them, you know, following my footsteps, but I do want them to make their own choice as to what it is that they want to do.
Growing up was tough. I knew I wanted to hurry up to get out of the Bronx. Tough streets, but I survived, I made it. My name is Vernica Martinez. They call me V. I'm 40 years old, born and raised in the Bronx, and I am a local 3 journeywoman electrician. I expect to make at least $100,000 this year. As a local 3 apprentice, I made $11.25 an hour. Now, as a journeywoman, I make $58 an hour. I grew up in the Fordham Road section of the Bronx, which is like right across the street from Fordham University. My high school years were non-traditional. From the time I was 12, I went to school in the system. And I got pregnant on my 18th birthday. I kind of knew that I didn't want to go to school anymore. Every decision that I made from the time she was born was all for her. Looking at her, I knew she deserved the world, and I was gonna like die trying to give it to her. And she was the reason, my daughter. I tell her, she saved my life. Having her, because I was able to focus just on her and making sure she had the best life possible. I like working with my hands, so I figured, you know what, I could give this construction thing a try. They gave me the basic orientation. They interview you to make sure you're a right candidate. I got into new. March 2000. I didn't know I wanted to be an electrician right away. I really had my heart set on being a laborer because my father was a laborer. Every day I was going home in pain, I was tired, I was hurting, and I was like, the electricians are laughing out the door or clean, and so I was like, maybe I'll be an electrician. When you're an apprentice, you like You don't have no say. It's like you're the lowest man on the totem pole. You know, you're there to learn, but as a journeyman, you pretty much just answer to your foreman, you know? You don't have to listen to nobody. And then you have an apprentice or a helper. You kind of teach them and tell them what to do, sort of say. I work 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock start. My day starts at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's what time my alarm goes off. I might get up, quick shower. So I get my daughter ready, my youngest daughter. I'm out of my door by like 3:40, 3:45. I take her to the babysitter, and then I double back to get on the bus. My bus comes, it leaves at 4:20 in the morning. I get to the Port Authority around 5:45 in the morning. Then I take the train from the Port Authority to my job. Then I just relax until it's our start time. 7 o'clock, I start work. Make sure materials that I would need on my floor is usually like tape, tie wraps. That's just to tie and neaten up the cables after I pull them in. So I make sure I have that. I make sure I have my gloves and my water. And I get upstairs to my floor. We take the electricity from the power company. When they bring it to a certain line in the street, we take it and we distribute it throughout a building. So we give you lights, we give you power for your receptacles, we give you Wi-Fi for your internet, fire alarm to make sure that the building is safe. I like that, when I can work steady without being bored or gotta get stopped, and it helps the day go, so. My goal is to beat Jeopardy to bed every night. If I can get to bed before Jeopardy, I'm happy, but that don't happen every day. So I try to be in bed no later than 9 o'clock. You know, I try not to do overtime, whether staying late or coming in on a Saturday if it's available. I stay away from it because I like to be home with my kids. I love it. It lets me be who I am, like, every day. I like to laugh and joke. If I can laugh and joke every day, that's what I'm gonna do. The pros, of course, is the benefits, the money. Being an electrician is great because most of the modern world cannot live without it. So I like to jokingly tell people that I do what God does, and I provide electricity for everybody. But the equality is one of the pros because, sometimes I'm working next to a man who's been in the business, say 30, 35 years, but they get the same benefit, the same pay as me. The cons of being in the business is the physical demand. Sometimes it takes a toll on your body. There's the strenuousness on your body, the dirtiness. The bad stuff, the cons, over time, it's not good for us. So, like the noise, over time it takes a toll on your hearing, the long standing, the bending, the up and down. It's just longevity is it's hard on your body. None of the cons, though, outweigh the pros to make me be like, it's a bad idea for anybody, I just say, if you don't mind getting dirty, you don't mind work with your hands, or you don't mind, being on your feet, then, you can handle anything in the construction business. I didn't think I would ever own a home. This career, I should say, gave me the freedom to do anything that I've ever thought I couldn't do. It gave me the opportunity to do it. From buying a home, to buying a car, to sending my daughter to college. My oldest daughter is a senior in school right now, and by having this job, I was able to maintain paying my bills, to have good credit. Sometimes I look in the mirror, or I tell my husband, I go, "Dear Mr. Toilet, I am the shit." Because I know I know where I came from and I know what I went through to get to where I'm at. And I'm really proud of myself. I really am.
When I was a child, like I always wanted to find myself in a career where I really was actually helping people. So that's like very important to the reason why like I'm in this field. My name is Ricky Gass. I'm 25. I live in Linden, New Jersey. I'm a certified solar installer, and I'm looking forward to making $100,000 this year.
By state law, if it's over 1 megawatt, it has to be prevailing wage. Amount of panels that we're getting ready to do is over 1 megawatt, it automatically prevailing wage. The jobs that we take that's under 1 megawatt are considered non-rate, which is 22 hour. Prevailing wage is 65 when non-rate is 22. I take care of both my kids and I take care of both their moms too. But I always liked being a superhero though. Like I always thought of myself as a little kid, like, let me be a superhero. Let me bear it, and then they can be spoiled and all that.
My dad was like a big bass player, and my mom is a nurse. Grew up in Newark, where I was born. I was a good student. I like to learn. Like I always liked to learn since I was a child. A bit of a class clown at times, I can admit. Graduated in 2014. Like, I knew I wanted to be different. Like I knew I wanted to have a good job and things during high school, but I just didn't know how to get there. So I was a little confused after high school because I didn't have a real plan.
After high school, I went to college, and then I was arrested, and then I went to trade school. Immediately after I got out, I didn't do an outpatient program. I did that, and then I went back to work.
I just wanted to change my life. I was running from my past. I was running away from complacency, laziness. I was just running from a lot of things. So I just put all my energy and effort into school. Like school is like the first springboard to where I'm at now. Always loved construction. I just wanted to be like build a house for my mom, or build houses for communities, or build a house for myself. Work week is 5 days a week, 40 hours, no weekends, like at all. We're making so much money that there's no need for overtime. I wake up, I would say 4:30 in the morning. My current commute is an hour and a half, so I gotta get up a little earlier, but it's okay because it's worth it. We start at 6:30 in the morning or 6, depending. We have our morning meeting on as far as who's gonna do what for the day, and we break up, everybody gets they task for the day, and then we all go into our separate positions. So if we're doing solar panels, then we're mostly likely all working together. But if we are working like on the racking systems or wire management, that's more of a solo task. Work into like 2:30. I've installed at a couple of different places. My first job we did was 11,000 panels on one roof, and I was at like 10,000 panels on the second roof, right adjacent from that roof. Yeah, physically, you gotta be ready. You can't like oversleep. You can't go to sleep 2, 3 in the morning and think you're gonna get up and lift 40 or 50 or maybe even 100 panels in a day. Lifting bricks, lifting panels, lifting different type of wiring, different equipment. You definitely have to not necessarily be the strongest person, but you definitely have to be prepared. Because your technique is more important than the actual physical part of the job. Like, if you have your technique down pat and you have your skills that you were taught and how we were trained, the physical part is not the hardest part. It's definitely the technique. The benefits, you have great healthcare benefits, vision, dental, medical. First paycheck, it changed everything. It changed like my goals, like at that exact moment. It changed my expectations for myself. And it just, it made like all the people that was working with me, that believed in me, like that was their confirmation too. Best day on the job, I would say, was when I got the call from my girlfriend that Raina was coming when she was being born. That was the best day on the job. And I had to leave work and go and take her to the hospital. That was the best day on the job. Cause I'll be the first one happy for everyone else. They were like really supportive, like just, yeah, to see them there for me, like for personal situations, just makes me more effective working with them on the roof, just makes me work 10 times harder. Whew. My worst day on the roof, it was the winter for sure, and my hands were numb. I couldn't move my hands. My feet was numb. I couldn't even move my toes, and we still had to lift panels at the time, and it was just brutal. Like it was like sometimes, like you say it's cold, but it was maybe like -10 degrees with like 30-mile-an-hour winds. We tried hand warmers, didn't work, nothing worked. 3 jackets didn't work, but we got through the day. Right now, I am a solar installer. I have plans on becoming a supervisor very soon, with foreman coming after that, humbly speaking, and of course, the next step is CEO. I'm happy about everything that I'm doing right now. I'm happy, like, my kids love me, my kids look up to me, my community, my school, I completed my school, GAF, soil landscape, like everything that I've been through, it's been worth it. It's been humbling, it's been great, and I love the journey.